Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has a challenge ahead of him. His first major challenge as Speaker, which is, can he keep the government funded? He's got a plan. It's a relatively clean two-part extension of various government programs to buy us a few more months before we get to have this conflict yet again. But it's already looking like it's unlikely to pass before Friday, when the deadline actually happens. So he's got this 32-page piece of legislation that would extend government funding for a number of different federal programs. So veterans, military construction, agriculture, transportation, housing, energy, water development through January 19th. All the rest would be funded for a couple more weeks. But it doesn't include everything that theoretically could be expanded during this time, or continued, I should say, during this time. So funding by President Biden for Israel, Ukraine, and the US border with Mexico. They would much rather, the Republicans, be able to separate those things out and then ask for insane things and not get all of it, but get a little bit of insane stuff on those areas. So I don't know, a guarantee of allowance for a few more Ukrainian civilian casualties. I don't know what they're gonna ask for, but something crazy. Anyway, even with this plan, which only extends the government funding for a couple more months and allows them room to challenge some of these major programs, it already looks like it's gonna be difficult for him to pass because he can only afford to lose 4 GOP votes, and some have already spoken out against this. So Marjorie, Greene, I think mid-stroke, I'm gonna say, full caps responded to this saying, no money to Ukraine, close the border, stop the weaponized government, impeach all of the names I've heard. Seems like she's gonna be a no, and you only need a few more no's, and it looks like Chip Roy says it's 100% clean. It's not. Again, they're not doing that funding clean for those major programs. So he's just lying there. But regardless, he opposes it. That's 2 of your 4 right there. Look, we knew once Johnson took over that things were going to be complicated. It was complicated under the previous guy, but the continued dysfunction of the Republicans in government, very much on display, Francesca.
Look, I think Mike Johnson is a psychotic Christian nationalist, but I actually like this proposal because I think we need to slow the roll with sending a lot of weapons and money abroad, and definitely to the US-Mexico border, where we're being fear-mongered that, I don't know, Hamas is coming through the US-Mexico border. They can't even get through the border with Egypt. So I like this. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should put all the, kill money on the sideline. So I would be surprised actually if we didn't see some Democrats voting for this. We know they want a continuing resolution. We know they want to keep the government open. We know that they saved Homeboy's butt the last time. I can't even remember, Kevin something. They saved Kevin McCarthy's butt the last time around. I think Democrats should vote for this. But of course, because they are also bloodthirsty when it comes to supplying Israel with more money to level Gazans with, they probably won't. And because they don't see, they lump Ukraine in there, even though when it comes to Israel-Palestine, they are, on the wrong side. They'll probably not vote for it either. But we might see squad members, we might see AOC, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, and others vote for something like this. So it could be a very interesting play here.
Yeah, so I'm like trying to work through how they're combining all these different things. Obviously, they want to have a big debate over the border. Even though, again, Biden has always been much closer to Trump policies on the border than the Republicans are ever gonna give him credit for. And they don't want the Ukraine funding, so I get that. But holding up the funding that would go to Israel, is the idea gonna be that they're going to make Biden do cuts in the other ones to get the Israel funding that he wants, when every single one of them would say they support that funding, and were they to block it, they could be attacked as opposing the Israeli government's war on Hamas? That seems like a dangerous strategy.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point.
I don't know. Anyway, not one that they're likely to be punished on, because I have a feeling that Biden and the Democrats probably will find some way through this, and Biden will probably be willing to negotiate with them. Whereas, you have this guy who's gonna have a very difficult time actually controlling the House. You have an opportunity to make the Republicans spend the next 8 months looking absolutely insane and feckless and ineffective going into the presidential race. Don't lend them a hand, don't save them, but we'll end up seeing what happens.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.